We call mangroves blue forests because these extraordinary marine habitats are at once forests and oceans, and they provide a bewildering array of benefits for people and nature. They're centres of biodiversity, maintaining nearby marine habitats and acting as nurseries for countless fish and invertebrate species. They underpin some of the world's most productive inshore fisheries. They provide a vital source of durable timber that communities use to build their homes, as well as fuel for cooking. They protect hundreds of thousands of kilometres of coastline from storm surges, erosion, and rising seas resulting from global climate change. They help regulate the climate by removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and storing it within their carbon-rich sediments. And they're so good at this that they store more organic carbon per unit area than almost any other ecosystem on Earth. For low-income coastal communities, mangroves are a lifeline, in some cases underpinning food and energy security for vast regions and even entire nations. Yet, mangroves are one of the most threatened forest systems on Earth. For the millions of people living in poverty in tropical coastal areas, cutting mangroves to produce timber or charcoal is often the only source of income available. Collapsing fisheries and a lack of alternative livelihood options mean coastal communities often find themselves with little choice but to deforest mangroves to meet their basic needs, perpetuating a downward spiral of mangrove loss that deepens their underlying poverty. And in some regions, vast areas of mangroves are being cleared for conversion to shrimp ponds, palm oil plantations, and paddy fields, because of planning, policy, and governance decisions that fail to appreciate that mangroves are worth much more intact. And as mangroves are destroyed, the vast amounts of carbon that are stored within them are released back into the atmosphere, accelerating global climate change and placing vulnerable communities at even greater risk from extreme weather events and rising sea levels. Blue Ventures is working with coastal communities to tackle the complex and interconnected drivers of mangrove loss, prioritising the human rights of coastal communities and demonstrating the enormous benefits that can flow from these incredible ecosystems when managed and protected at a local level. Through projects that empower coastal communities to conserve and restore mangroves, we're supporting communities in the Indian Ocean to benefit from improved fisheries, aquaculture, and forestry. And by developing some of the world's first blue carbon projects that harness and monetize the extraordinary carbon storage value of mangroves, we're creating an entirely new incentive to mobilize local mangrove stewardship. And behind the scenes, we're working to help governments adopt legislation that enables more sustainable use of mangroves, securing access rights for communities, and establishing robust monitoring and enforcement systems that prevent mangrove destruction. It's critical that these efforts are magnified. Up to half of the world's mangrove forests have been lost in the last 50 years, and they may disappear altogether within the coming decades unless we act now. We're developing models for mangrove conservation that are hardwired to be taken to scale. By grounding conservation efforts in secure local management structures, we're enabling coastal communities to realise the full range of benefits that can flow from well-managed mangroves, and in doing so meet their most basic needs and strengthen resilience to climate change. We started out this journey working in some of Africa's largest mangrove forests on the west coast of Madagascar 15 years ago. Thanks to support from the International Climate Fund, we're now working with local partners to replicate this approach across the whole of Madagascar, and now in Indonesia and beyond.